Hello, welcome back. This is episode 2 of my TEW save entitled Regal Ace. It's very much a local to global save, but with a twist. That twist being that in 1992, Steve Regal, as opposed to flying off to New York and flying off to America and flying off to WCW in Georgia, decided to set up his own company in the northwest of England with the aim of making British wrestling great again. Welcome to the episode. For the first episode, which is on YouTube at the moment, we went through the roster that I have here, because whilst the save started in 1992, the year is currently 1997. So I went through our roster, went through kind of the format of the company, but one of the biggest questions we got was, what does everyone else look like? One of the joys about TW is that if you go in deep and a few years in, every company is its own little thing. Every company ends up being a little bit different. So for this episode, I wanted to have a look at some of the bigger companies out there, sort of show you where we're at with them in their world. Obviously, I've had no control over any of these. There's be some people who I've signed, but outside of that, it's been very much left to the game and the AI and seeing what it looks like. What does the butterfly effect look like of Regal taking over his own company? How does that affect everyone else around the world? In theory, it shouldn't. In theory, it shouldn't do much at all, because we're not really looking at too much international talent. We're kind of keeping people on the low. But as we'll see, that's absolutely not the case, as is often found in TW. So we're going to go to the company section page here. I'm going to sort it by size, and as you can see, Empire Wrestling, which is our company, is the third largest in the world, with Flair, Stan Hansen, Regal, Mike Weaver, and Johnny Kidd as our 5 most well-known talents. WWE. WWF still at that point, rather, because it's 1997. If we look at the tour company page, the big 5 stars are Hogan, who at this point would have been in WCW 97. Yeah, absolutely. Hogan and Savage are both still in WWF. Ricky Steamboat doing great guns, which means he didn't retire by this point. Bret Hart in 97 would have just been getting ready to leave, if I've got my dates right there. Yep. And Sting is in WWF, so we'll have a look at those people there as well. If we go into the company in a bit more detail, look at the roster, if we look at the overview, you can see that they've got the biggest stars. Savage, Bossman. I've always been a big Bossman fan. It goes back to if you ever played WrestleFest, the arcade game, where you had to kind of choose your tag team and go through a sort of a gauntlet and sort of Raw Rumble as a tag team. I always had Bossman and Perfect. So Perfect's also on this list here as well. So the biggest star, Sting, Steamboat, IRS. Now, obviously, God bless Mike Rotunda. Not sure I'd have had him as my biggest star in 1997, but clearly this alternate version of it there is. Did you ever have, when you were little, when we were about, I reckon, 10, that sounds about right, about 10, we were really getting into wrestling, and there was like a group of me and my 3 friends arguing about who was the best and who was our favourites and who was the strongest and all this sort of stuff. We were convinced that the 4 of us combined could take IRS. Like, it specifically was IRS was the one we chose. And for some reason, that always what jumps out at me there as well. So anyone else kind of jumping out here as well? Obviously, Steiner's stayed around. Red Rooster doing well. Hope, obviously, Taker could be a lot higher. Andre is still about, obviously injured. But if we have a look at what can we have a look at with WWF? Because we can look at tour company, but we can also have a look at view the profile and the power structure. So the booking team looks fairly as it probably would have been in 97. Andre, IRS, El Matador as our... now, I thought I'll give our enforcers on Empire Wrestling a gun against everyone, because if I remember correctly, it was like Finley and Minoru Suzuki. But, Animal, Barbarian, Undertaker, that's a fairly hard-nosed team there as well. Let's have a look at the championships for WWE. So the world champion is Ricky Steamboat. 7 defences, held it since August of this year, so he's no, or since April. So what happened? What changed? So where would it have been? So Hogan would have. That's real. Hogan then vacated it. So yeah. So at the start of this in 1992 would have been Rumble. So it would have been when Flair won the Rumble. So they wouldn't have had a title champion at the start. So DiBiase won it. So he finally got his DiBiase, who, if you remember from episode 1, is now wrestling for Empire Wrestling. So DiBiase, as opposed to Flair, took the title in '92. Went to Hogan, went to Flair, who again, but also with me. Savage and Hogan tied Tenryu. Now, Tenryu doing very well there. Lovely. Good for him. Nice little solid reign there, almost a year. Then went to Sting to got his WWF title run. Then Bret Hart, and then that's a proper white meat face run here, isn't it? Tenryu, Sting, Hart, Steamboat. Yeah. Okay, so that's the WWF title. Intercontinental title is held by Conan, who has just won it 5 days ago in the save. We can see Tarzan Boy Darren, which is Darren Ward, the British wrestler who made his name. IC belt's been moved around quite a bit, hasn't it? So we've got to go back to January 92. So Brett would have held it then. So Animal, Crush, Hawk, Bulldog got his second run. Sergeant Slaughter got a run. Mankind got a run with the IC title twice. Brian Pillman. Tarzan Boy Darren beat The Undertaker for it and then lost to Owen Hart. And Hawk got his second run. Yeah, so very much a bit of a jumpy belt there as well. It's ranked 78 against the 89 world title. European title has only ever been held by Tito Santana since its inception. The world tag title is currently held by the Rockers, 97. So obviously Michaels hasn't quite gone to the heights that he went to previously, but is kept with the Rockers all the way through by all accounts. LID had a run. Rockers had a belt there. Bossman and IRS, Natural Disasters. Shawn Michaels and Sting won it off IRS and Bossman. That's an interesting little group there, people. Rumble winners, obviously Rumble would have been. So it's just Hogan and Savage have won the Rumble. Since 1992, there have been 2 winners of the Royal Rumble. And King of the Ring. Let's have a look. Colonel Mustafa, I feel. Colonel Mustafa and then Slaughter, then IRS. I mean, this isn't the greatest. Although I do like the idea of King Undertaker, which is what it apparently is in game because he would have just won it. So King Taker is running around as the King of the Ring at the moment. So that's WWF. Obviously, if you're watching this and you've got any questions and you want me to go back to any of these, please let me know. I can include it on the next video. The plan for the release is we're going to do this video now. The next video will be I'll be booking the Tag Team Classic final. So the Tag Classic has now finished. Just quickly show you that how it ended. Completed tournaments, Tag Empire Tag Classic 6 because it's our 6th one. Anarchy Inc. So Ted DiBiase and Doug Williams won Block A, and Block B was won by Boz Berry and Ric Flair, which means we'll be having our first ever international winner of a trophy as opposed to a belt, because either Ric Flair or Ted DiBiase will win one half of the Empire Tag Classic. Will they beat Das Weaverman? Well, that's what we're going to find out in a later show there as well. So that's how the Tag Classic finished. Close runs across the board there, really. No Fear Soldiers had to give up their. No, that was a draw. Who pulled out? Someone pulled out. Oh yeah, Stretching Crew pulled out because Gary Steele got injured. Anyway, so that's WWF. We've had a look at WCW. Now WWF is rated huge. WCW is falling massively. Now they are big globally, which is what helps them on that list, but if we look at kind of the USA, even in the Georgia areas, they're ranked no more than 60, which if you compare that to Empire, for example, we are well ahead of them now. So Empire is now the second largest US firm. Anyway, WCW, Now, the big thing about WCW is if we look at the tour company bit, we've got Warrior, and then this feels a very much a classic WCW little group here. Got Anderson, Simmons, Rude, and Johnny B. Bad. But the big one for it, if we look at the view profile, the power structure, we had a change of ownership quite early in the game. If you see here, John Bradshaw Layfield became the owner and booker of WCW. If we look at his attributes, he's 30 years old in 97. How he got this job is beyond me. So April 96 he took over. On his skills, he's got a booking reputation of 1 and a booking skill of 1 and a business reputation of 54, which 54 is not bad, but it's not good enough to be running WCW. And the fact he's made himself the booker with a booking reputation of 1 is amazing. Look at the titles here. Cruiserweight titles vacant. Scott Armstrong has just... So we look here. Scott Armstrong got the belt and then got released immediately afterwards, which is one of the most classic WCW things possible. Luger's US champ. The Dark Patriot is if I remember correctly, is Doug Gilbert. Eddie Gilbert? Doug Gilbert is Dark Patriot, who is the current WCW champion. Wyndham and Rhodes as WCW tag champs. Because it was Dustin and Rick Steiner, and then Rick Steiner left the company. I don't know where he is now. I tried to get him for Empire, and someone else came in for him. Might be WWF. And the World TV Champion is the franchise, Shane Douglas. He would have moved, obviously, to the franchise in 96, 99, 95, 96. So he's still done it. They still called the franchise. Moved the logos over. El Gigante. El Gigante with 2 runs, bless him. So that's WCW. Anyone? They seem to have kept most of their kind of team. There's no kind of crazy hires outside of John Bradshaw owning it. Bill Goldberg has started, though. Goldberg has had his first few matches. And how's he doing? Let's have a look. He's had 2 matches and he lost them both. The streak is on. I think it's going the other way around suddenly, losing to Brian Wayne and Dustin Rhodes. We'll keep an eye on that. We'll see how Goldberg's streak is booked under Dustin Bradshaw Layfield. New Japan. If we look at this company, it is Liger, Muto, Tenryu, Choshu, and Blue Panther. Did Blue Panther? I need to look up whether Blue Panther was at New Japan. I don't think he was. But this feels very much nothing crazy with the New Japan belts. It's WCW and WWF who seem to have gone crazy. Chono with the world title belt. Yep, as junior champion. Hayes and Sano as tag champs. Dr. Wagner Jr. won Best of Super Juniors. Tenryu won the G1. Anyone crazy won the G1? Oh, Liger won the G1. That's nice. The Tag League was won. Yeah, less said about that, the better. And the Young Lions Cup was won by Akira. Anyone crazy on there? No, not really. So New Japan doing all right. And we'll have a look at. So something was always worth having a look at on this. I always find with this save is have a look at what ECW is doing. Because Heyman's still at WCW in 92, which means he doesn't go over here in this save because it's not built into the AI, which means ECW stays as part of the NWA. So we never get kind of the proper ECW. So if you've ever played the this database of on TEW, ECW is a really good save to do. Because there's lots of things you can kind of save and you can keep it and move it into what it would have been because it kind of goes all over the place otherwise. But Leatherface, Sandman, JT Smith, Pitbull. Well, I always forget which one was Pitbull 1 and which one was Pitbull 2, but Pitbull, Spike, and Johnny Hotbody. So they've gone still very much the old Eastern Championship Wrestling kind of group there. CMLL is very much what you would expect. I think Atlantis won. Oh, that's also something we can have a look at. Let's have a look at the top Power 500. So Power 500 is essentially the PWI 500. El Dandy is the greatest wrestler in the world in 1996. Clearly, CMLL is booking some good stuff because it appears they've got the top 5 all in their team as well. Hogan down in 36. If we can have a look at, if we look for Empire, we've got a nice little, that's not bad. I'll take that. That's probably 30, 40 names on there who are all in the top little group. I wonder how many, because it looks like WCW is doing god awful. They've got less. So we've got more in the top 500 than WCW do. So that's nice. Have a look as well at who else can we have a look at? Omega's live. So Matt Hardy's launched Omega. And something I'm going to do just before the end here of this, let's have a look at the PWI 500 for 1997 and compare where are people's careers doing accordingly. So in 1990, let's just do the top one. We'll do the top 11 because the top 10 is a wrestler who is doing quite well for New Japan, who we've skipped over a couple of times. But number 11 is Taz. Taz is currently doing some handshake deals around Puerto Rico. He is wrestling as Taz, not Tasmaniac. Oh no, he is wrestling as Tasmaniac. So never became Taz. Okay, so that's where he's at. Liger, we've already seen, is doing quite well by the looks of it. So Liger is on a New Japan contract for a while, doing very well. The next one is number 8 rather, was the Giant. Now the Giant's an interesting one for me on this save because Giant is, what's he booked as on here? Oh, he booked as Paul White. So what's he wrestling as? Because he's with WWE, so he wrestled as Big Show. But WCW had him on a developmental deal, and he got sent to Empire. So we had him for a long while, and he did very well with us. Nice little learning curve. We had him at Empire for 2 years, and then WCW brought him back in and did absolutely sod all with him, despite the fact we kind of really built him up to do well, and then WWF had bought him, and is kind of doing okay. But yeah, nothing. Has he won anything? No, never won a belt. The next one is number 7, so that is Shinya Hashimoto. I spelled that right? Let's have a look. Here we go. Yeah, so Shinya Hashimoto, current NWA Greatest 18. He has won the IWGP title twice. So yeah, he's the first one. Him and Liger are both having good careers, kind of thing there as well. Undertaker, we saw his King Taker. The UK Undertaker is not. King Taker has won the WWF title for 6 days, but that's before this save would have happened. He's had the WCW, the IC title, and the King of the Ring. By 97, Undertaker should be doing better than this. So that's another one who's not quite had as good a career. Luger is a US champion, stayed with WCW, so presumably didn't go. Did he ever go to WWF? No, stayed with WCW all the way through. And 6-time US champion. Yeah, okay, so I think Luger's doing okay on it here as well. This next one is someone who I'm not expecting to do particularly well because his age. DDP is still listed as a manager and a colour commentator on this save. So, has never held a title. In real life, 97, he was the 4th highest wrestler in the world and has obviously clearly quite struggled. This is quite sad to see in terms of who the it's a real Mexican influence in terms of the top 500 as opposed to what it ended up being. He's not being paid a huge amount. Stayed with WCW, so would have gone to WWE by '97. He's had the US title during the time, but again hasn't really done anything much. Although I did mention on the last save, Austin is now in Scotland, so if contract comes up, that means I'm going to try and bring him in to Empire, and we'll give him a proper push. Number 2 is Misawa. Misawa is, if you again, tip for this save, Misawa is understandably fantastic in this save. I've had him on previous saves before and just push him to the moon. He does fantastically. 3-time All Japan Tag Champion. Hasn't had the Triple Crown, which again surprises me. Should be doing well. And then the last one is also somebody who we've had been briefly, but hasn't really done the business, is Dean Malenko. So he is currently based in Southern England. He is a former ICWA Tag Champion. Job history, we can see that he wrestled for Empire for a brief period. We brought him back in for, I think, for 6 months, I think, for our flyweight tournament. He went on tour with All Japan, which where I think I was going to lose him and assumed he was going to kick on from there. And then he's just stayed wrestling around the British independents. So, yeah, a couple of missed opportunities on this save. But, yeah, IRS is doing well. So it all evens out in the wash anyway. So that is pretty much where the world is. Some different things, definitely. If we look at what's interesting to me is the US market is huge with so many different kind of companies here on it, but GWF is doing okay. There's a lot of small companies here who are doing well. So WWF's monopoly hasn't quite kicked in. The independent scene's doing well, should continue to do well, but keep an eye on it there as well. I hope that's been useful for everyone. I hope you've given an insight on it there as well. Any questions, let me know. If you want to have a look at where anyone particularly is in this world, have a look at any particular companies that we've gone through, see where they're at, and any predictions. Like I said, in the next save, we'll go through the Tag League final, and we will show you the blocks for the 1997 Empire Classic Flyweight Tournament, which is all good to go. Hope that's been good for you all. Any questions, obviously, please leave them on the comments section. I'm enjoying doing these, so I will keep doing them. All the best to you. Have a lovely week, one and all, and I will speak to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.